Hark, it's an 87th Precinct bonus episode. We're back to talk more about Sadie when she died, or about our books and the various editions of this 87th Precinct story from 1972, which we just rated very highly on our main podcast, which you will have listened to at some point recently. So before we get into what is now going to be our bonus treat of looking at the stuff that went on in 1972, we'll have a look at our editions of the book that we've got, and we're deep in UK pan territory of these paperbacks. We've all got paperback editions. Mm-hmm. So we'll get that little bit out of the way before we talk about the original cover designs for this. Steve-O, do you want to tell everyone what your and my copy of the book looks like?
Well, which one's this? This is the 1979 pan, I think.
Yeah.
It is. Well, it's a fairly naff cover, isn't it? It's like a blue thing with a wrapped up knife, like dagger.
Wrapped up like a Christmas present.
Yeah.
I think the blue thing is just the background,
isn't it? I think.
Yeah, but it looks a bit weird if you ask me. Quite uninspiring.
Gift wrapped dagger with a little bit of holly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has got the shiny gold McBain striped logo at the top, which I do like.
It has.
How's the side of yours looking, Steve? Mine's completely faded again because...
Yeah, mine has, yeah.
Because it comes from the collection once more of D. Llewellyn Hodge, as several of the paperbacks I've got do.
D. Llewellyn Hodge.
Yeah, ex libris. Mine cost £1.50.
Oh, yours is the cheapest. £2.
£2. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's not particularly inspired, these ones, are they? But then there's Morgan's edition.
Well, here we go.
Morgan's once again got his sexy books out.
Oh, that's it. I've got the 1992 Mandarin paperbacks edition.
Yeah. Featuring
a picture of a lady's foot in a stiletto heel, bright red stiletto heel with a gleaming gold ankle bracelet.
I don't think ankle bracelets feature in the story at all, do they?
No, it bears no relation to the story, and it is frankly quite hideous.
Kling does buy a bracelet for Cindy Forrest with a heart on it, but I think it's just a bracelet. It's not an ankle bracelet, and he doesn't say slip this on over your fishnets, love.
He really doesn't. It's the kind of cover that is designed to make the book really embarrassing to read in public.
I suppose then the sniff test needs to be done. Really, someone needs to huff these books, and there's only one man for the job.
Oh yeah,
I'll do a personal huff on my own, of course.
Oh, quite nice that. That smells different. I quite like that one.
Yeah. Fairly positive.
My full of
I think it's a three-way tie that on huffing.
Oh, excellent! I don't think we've ever had a three-way tie on these ones before.
They're all nicely pungent in their own way.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, that's nice, isn't it?
That's wonderful.
I feel quite positive about that.
Very good result.
So.
Well, let's leap back to the original covers. In America, it's published in hardback by Doubleday still, and in Signet for the paperback edition. In the UK, it was originally Hamish Hamilton and Pan for the soft cover version.
I like the US hardback one. 2 fists with a knife. Quite like that.
Yeah.
What's going on with that one?
Well, this is the UK hardback edition.
What's that in the background?
It looks like a blow-up doll.
It does rather, doesn't it?
Not that I've seen a blow-up doll, but it's...
weird.
I think perhaps the suggestion there is that the Sadie Collins character was a bit of a sex addict, and that imagine puncturing a doll with a knife. That's the effect of, like, he's trying to destroy this sex body.
Yeah.
It's not very good, is it?
Not great. It's a bit of a lack of imagination on display, dare I say it, in some of these.
Yeah, and the paperbacks are pretty uninspiring, aren't they?
Yeah.
US hardback's definitely the best of those 4, I would say.
The original US paperback, the Signet edition, a sizzling new 87th Precinct mystery, it says, and then it's a sort of photographic image of a hand stabbing down through a lady lying on the floor in a dressing gown. Very literal to the book, really.
Well,
except she wasn't destroyed by a massive hovering hand.
No.
And the original Pan edition was literally a copy of her open diary and a knife with some blood on.
Which is fine, it does the job, but...
It for such a good entry in the series, it's suffered rather.
You'd have
hasn't
thought
it?
they could have dug just a little deeper to come up with something a bit more striking.
Anyway, then that's the book covers. As usual, I will try and share those all. Well, I won't try. I will share those all via our social media, particularly Instagram. So let's get back to 1972. Let's take you back to 1972 and some of the music going on. Now, I know I try and make you guess what's normally happening, but the UK best-selling albums of 1972 is an interesting list. So, I mean, you could have a guess if you wanted of what the top 10 UK best-selling albums were in 1972.
Are you suggesting with this that we're not going to guess in a million years?
I believe in you guys and your knowledge, but it's an odd one. It's not a chart I would have expected to see.
The best of Roger Whittaker.
Oh, if only. I think I've got the best of Roger Whittaker.
Well, you're one of 40 million people to have bought it in the year 1972.
You see, you've thrown me now. I have no idea what to go for.
I've sown, doubt in your mind over what you would expect from these things. I mean, there's a couple of names that have been on the recent lists anyway. So, there may be something you could guess at. Stumped already.
Yeah,
pathetic, isn't it?
You've put us off guessing.
I know, well, I'll run through them.
Dozy D.
Dozy D.
Dozy Dave D. Dozy.
I think they'd be gone by this stage, wouldn't they?
Well, I know that.
Sadly.
Well, number
The best
one,
of.
best-selling album of 1972
The best of Andy Williams.
was released by the record label K-Tel. If that gives you any clues.
Wombles.
No.
Oh.
K-Tel were famous basically for compilations. This
yeah.
is the K-Tel era we're getting into.
Oh, heck.
So the number one best-selling album of 1972 was 20 Dynamic Hits by various artists.
Oh, how exciting.
But wait, at number two in the UK album charts is 20 All-Time Greats of the 50s by various artists. At number three, Greatest Hits by Simon and Garfunkel.
All right, yeah.
So Bridge Over Troubled Water having
Yeah.
been recently. Then number four, Never a Dull Moment by Rod Stewart.
Indeed,
At number five, 20 Fantastic Hits by various artists.
Bloody hell.
Everyone had gone mad for compilations in 1972.
Wow. Weird.
But Simon and Garfunkel are still in the chart in the next position with Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Wow.
Number seven is an album by what was a mod band, but then became a glam rock band.
Slade?
Yes, Slade.
Which one's that going to be? Not Slade in Flame.
No, sadly not.
Sladist?
No.
Slade Alive?
Slade Alive.
Hey.
There we go. Number 8 was occupied by Fog on the Tyne, the album by Lindisfarne.
Yeah.
Number 9 was 25 Rockin' and Rollin' Greats by various artists.
I guess, the 50s revival was probably kicking in
wasn't
at
it?
that stage, yeah.
And at number 10, American Pie by Don McLean. That'll probably be in the charts now forever.
I'd
and these
imagine,
things.
yeah.
So, I mean, so many of those. I had a quick look through some of the listings for those K-Tel records and some of the other ones, and the 20 Dynamic Hits, which was the number one album, opened with Hold Your Head Up by Argent.
Oh, God. Hold your head up. Yeah, another one, yeah.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Then runs down with stuff from The Fortunes, Fireball by Deep Purple,
Ooh, it is dynamic.
Daniel Gerard with Butterfly,
Oh.
Ronnie Dyson, I don't know that, Cilla Black with Something Tells Me Something's Going to Happen Tonight.
Something tells me something's going to happen tonight. Yeah.
Okie doke. Redbone.
Yes. What did they do? The Witch Queen of New Orleans?
Yeah.
Excellent.
The Move. Solo Colin Blunston of the Zombies
Ooh.
song. Something by The Congregation. Some Hurricane Smith. Deep Purple again with
Wow.
Black Knight. Christie, Sly and the Family Stone, Santana, New World, Fame and Price, Blue Mink, Hurricane Smith, Blood, Sweat and Tears. It's that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the other one's more of slightly more poppy one, I think. And then it's just weird. That was what was going on in the UK. We were becoming obsessed with compilations.
Oh, dear.
I mean, obviously the singles in America of the week this was copyrighted for. Anyway, that was August in 1972. Again, I'm not entirely sure you'd pick any of these out if you were guessing who might have been in the singles chart.
Oh.
Want a
Any
quick
clues?
stab? He didn't write Pirates of Penzance.
Gilbert O'Sullivan.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Gilbert O'Sullivan.
Oh,
Sullivan
which one's that going to be? Alone Again, naturally.
was number 1.
Oh, there we go. There's a cheery song.
Yeah. Followed by Brandy, You're a Fine Girl by Looking
yeah.
Glass.
Indeed. As recently popularised in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yes, that would have been, yeah. And then If Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want to Be Right by Luther Ingram.
Classics all.
This is my favourite one that I came across today. I've never heard this before, but if you two both go, oh yeah, I'll be surprised. It's called Daddy, Don't You Walk So Fast by Wayne Newton.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
It's a song about someone, it's like a sort of, it could be a Glenn Campbell country ballad, and he would have done a much better version from what I've seen. Wayne Newton was this sort of megastar, smooth performer. Lovely moustache. But this song is about a guy walking away from his wife, but as he walks away, his daughter runs after him saying, Daddy, don't you walk so fast?
Sounds like a real tearjerker.
It's atrocious. Where is the Love by Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway.
Oh, yeah.
Then a Hollies song from 1972.
Oh, The Air That I Breathe? No, too early. Long Cool Woman in the Black Dress?
Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress. Then I'm Still in Love with You by Al Green.
Oh, yeah.
Too Late to Turn Back Now by Cornelius Brothers and Sister Rose.
Oh, doesn't ring a bell.
Another favourite I discovered on this list, I do sometimes listen to these things rather than just take the piss out of them, is a thing called How Do You Do by Mouth and McNeil. Unsurprisingly, they're a Dutch pop duo.
Great.
I say unsurprisingly, I don't know why I'd say it unsurprisingly. But it is a proper weird thing. A couple of harmony guitar parts, weird male-female vocal dynamic. It's no Una Paloma Blanca, I'll tell you that much. Number 10, though, you will know, it's School's Out by Alice Cooper.
Ah, now we're talking.
Yeah, that's probably the only one on here that's had a real lasting impact in anyone's imagination, I'd have thought. So yeah, interesting times, these early 70s period. There's no one style of thing dominating, is there really?
No.
That's true.
Mishmash.
A little bit all over the place, yeah.
Oh dear, we better get into film and TV.
Oof.
There's 2 Carry-On films.
Oh, my God.
1972.
I feel like we've run out of all the ones that I know as well by this stage.
Carry On Up That Hill. And
Carry On Running Up That Hill. The Kate Bush one.
Carry On Suitcase, I don't know.
Carry on.
Up the Khyber.
No.
Carry on scraping the barrel.
Yeah.
Carry On Pirates. Was the one called that?
Carry On Pirates. No.
No, that would have been good.
Carry On...
Let me put you out your misery before,
Go on then, yeah.
and everyone else. Carry On Abroad, which is an
Oh,
awful
yeah.
sort of the notion of cheap flights and
Yeah.
holidays to
right.
Spain coming into
I
the
get
UK.
ya.
Holidays would have just be started,
Yeah.
kind of then.
It's yeah, and Carry On Matron, which is ostensibly a remake of Carry On Nurse, but with like a sort of heist story stuck in it as well. With Kenneth Cope, I think's in that one. But in terms of films in America, let's stick in the UK a second. Let's do a bit of Hammer horror, which has become a
I know one, but for 1 billion%, because it'd be
Go on.
Dracula AD 1972.
Yes.
But were they bluffing? No, they were not.
Boom!
Yeah, Dracula AD 1972.
What a classic.
They did quite a few films that year, Hammer Productions, but the horror ones were basically that one. Fear in the Night and Demons of the Mind, which are a more psychological horror type of thing.
And was there an On the Buses?
I'm not going to talk about On the Buses anymore. It's so disgusting.
Mutiny on the Buses.
The most horrifying films in the Hammer.
Yeah, I think Mutiny on the Buses was that year as well. Yeah.
Gosh.
My concern is that if we mention On the Buses too much, someone who's never seen it in, say, I don't know, Canada, Australia, or Japan, or something, will go and look it up, and then we'll have spread that disease across the world. Sorry, don't look up On the Buses.
No, please don't.
Certainly not the TV series, which is grotesque.
Grotesque.
But yeah, America, like in terms of films. Now, I must clarify, when we say we're talking about Carry On and Hammer Horror, we're sort of saying that for silly reasons. We're not suggesting that those are the top British films by any means.
Although they obviously were.
Probably were, weren't they?
Perhaps the top
The Wicker Man, was that 1972?
I don't think so, but I might be wrong.
I don't know, actually.
You check. I think it might be a bit later than that. But in America, we've got The Godfather basically dominating.
Yeah, well, mentioned that earlier.
As we mentioned in the other podcast. I suggested that The Godfather might have had some influence on Evan Hunter writing Every Little Crook and Nanny. As the Poseidon Adventure was one of the big films of that year as well.
Oh, cracking, yeah. How many more lives?
Wicker Man was 1973.
Oh, we'll remember that for next time. Then.
Excellent, yeah.
And What's Up, Doc was another one of the big films that year.
I'm just trying to think, because there was signs of a 50s revival in pop. Are we around American Graffiti time?
That might have been the year before.
It might have been.
Now I think about it, but I don't know.
Could have been.
I was playing the American Graffiti soundtrack in the car not long ago, which I do like, except it's got a few weird sort of later recorded versions of 50s songs in it. But it's generally all right.
Yeah, were you playing it in the car whilst sort of drag racing down Main Street?
No, I was going through some very small country lanes in Cumbria, in fact. The best thing was that as we were going over this tiny little thing right across the top of one of these hills in Cumbria, we had to go very slowly because there were lots of sheep in the fields and there's no fences. And we had to go at an absolute crawl because there was sheep right up against on the road and sort of going on and off. And at that point, I had the window down, and the Beach Boys started with "Ba ba 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 baran," and I laughed. I mean, they don't sing it like that, but you know, I needed to do that for the joke, I think. So some things on TV, anyway. I mean, MASH starts in America.
Oh yeah,
still being shown on TV here today, and I'm sure in America as well.
Oh, did Van der Valk start in 1972?
Stevo, Van der Valk started in 1972.
Boom. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're a big fan of Van der Valk now, aren't you?
I am, yeah. It's good.
So that's all about a Dutch policeman.
Reasonably grumpy Dutch detective.
Yeah. That's everything you want, really, in a detective, isn't it?
That's good.
With Barry Foster.
Yep.
Did I say the Waltons? That was started in America as well.
Waltons, oh my God.
Okay.
That was on all through our childhood in the UK as well.
We used to watch the Waltons on a Sunday lunchtime when you were waiting for the shout that lunch was ready. And
Don't
like,
believe
the Walton. Or was it Saturday lunch? I don't know, one of those. And it was always really fairly depressing.
I don't think I've ever seen a single episode, even though it's been on forever.
You grew up like the Waltons in the countryside.
Awful.
But one I wanted to mention I found from 1972 was an American TV show called Me and the Chimp.
Sounds good.
Me and the
I'm
Chimp.
sold already.
Yeah, I think you can guess what happens in this programme. Someone ends up living with a chimp that's retired from the space programme.
Brilliant.
that sounds amazing.
Just imagine the meeting where they agreed to make this show.
Oh, superb.
Oh yeah, I don't know what
precursor to the Any Which
Way But Loose.
Yeah, which would have only been
Any Which Way But Loose in Space.
Yeah.
Why wasn't that sequel greenlighted?
Me and the Chimp.
Me and the Chimp.
Wow.
He's looking it up now. Just check. I haven't made it up.
Me and the Chimp YouTube. There you go.
Oh blimey.
IMDb 3.4.
Yeah, and that's for the chimp. So yeah. Sanford and Son as well starts in America, which was a remake of Steptoe and Son, a British sitcom of the 60s.
Episode synopsis: Liz seems to be allergic to buttons. Capital B.
Yeah, the chimp's called Buttons, not just allergic to buttons. Has to go around wearing Velcro for the rest of her life. But luckily, being involved in the space race and Velcro being a byproduct of that.
It writes itself, really, doesn't it?
I know, yeah. Sponsored by the Velcro Company. Steve-O is showing us a picture of TV magazine's front cover featuring me and the chimp.
Yeah, the chimp looks great.
I would be very interested if any of our US listeners, or anyone in the world really, if it was syndicated, who's seen me and the chimp, if they could let us know their feelings about it.
Yeah.
I think I'd be very interested in that. No one ever answers me when I ask questions about the 87th Precinct, but I bet you I'll get responses about me and the chimp.
Yeah, it's helping.
TV in the UK, apart from Van der Valk, we had the start of News Round.
Oh yeah,
which is
John Craven.
Still going now, which is a children's TV news programme. Emmerdale Farm, which is still going now. And Mastermind, which is still going now. So
Yeah, bloody
some
hell.
classics of the TV of us growing up there, really.
Emmerdale Farm.
We're going to Emmerdale Farm. Oh,
Yep.
God, that sounds... Sorry, that sounded like I was winding down then.
Dee, 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 dee.
Do you want to do a bit of infrastructure guessing?
Humber Bridge.
No. It's a motorway bit. Very famous bit of motorway.
Fellwall Viaduct.
No.
Dartford Crossing.
No. I say famous. It's
So-
very close to the most famous...
The M62
Interchange.
crossing.
Interchange isn't the right word. Junction.
Spaghetti Junction.
It's the stretch of the M6 motorway opened between Spaghetti Junction and Junction 7.
Wow.
The final stretch of the M6.
Oh,
Very important spinal motorway, the M6.
It is, yeah.
that's true.
So there you go, everyone.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
Sleep. Rest and sleep tonight.
That was interesting, everyone.
It was.
Yeah.
Nailed all those spot on.
Yeah, it's almost as exciting as the fact that the Watergate scandal basically happened in 1972.
Oh yeah, there's a minor footnote. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have some motorway opening and you have Watergate. You, the
There.
Americans. So yeah, of course. So that leads to the resignation of Nixon and the installation of Gerald Ford, and also the official pardoning of Nixon almost
Yes.
immediately, so he wouldn't stand, to be charged with anything, stand trial. Interesting stuff. The way that works, anyway. It's very hard to talk about politics in 1972, really, because there's so much going on, which is quite depressing. Like in the UK, the miners' strikes start in earnest. That sort of signals the start of a lot of industrial unrest, really, doesn't it?
It does,
runs
yeah.
for a few years.
Yeah. Until there's no more industry.
Yeah, basically. And the troubles in Northern Ireland start as well, so there's a lot of very horrible stuff going on with that. And you'd think that the Olympics of that year would be a shining beacon for everything that was brilliant, but of course there's the massacre in Munich, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
So it's a jolly year all round, 1972. I'm sure some stuff was good.
Possibly. Well, yeah. Slayed Alive was
Well,
pretty
yeah,
good.
that was the one thing keeping people going.
That's pretty much it. Carry On Abroad wasn't doing it.
No, maybe not. Anyway, yes, a couple of police things from the NYPD in 1972 that I found was a depressing thing and something probably more positive. There was a thing called the Harlem Mosque shooting in 1972 where a couple of officers got what they think is a fake 911 call to attend a mosque in Harlem. And when they got there, they were set upon by a bunch of people, and one of the officers was shot and killed. And to this day, no one has been arrested for that crime. And there was all sorts of issues of what police they sent to manage the situation. Did they not send enough people? Is it because of sort of a race religion thing going on as well? But that was quite a dramatic sort of thing in the history of the NYPD.
Yeah.
But also in 1972, there'd been so many police-related firearm incidents. The book we've just read, we didn't really talk about it, ends with one of the threads of the stories ends with a policeman having to draw his gun and kill someone. But there were so many in New York in 1972, like nearly 1,000 police shooting-related incidents. Not deaths necessarily, but that they brought in a thing called the... I'll get this right. The Firearms Discharge Review Board, rather. I don't know if I said that in such a strange way. So that if you ever shot your gun, you had to go before a disciplinary panel, no matter what the reason. And so the number of shooting things dropped massively. So because police weren't just drawing their guns for everything, like shooting at moving cars, it was suddenly sort of encouraged to sort of say, "This is a stupid idea. What are you going to do? What are you really going to do?"
Bureaucracy.
But yeah, and so that's basically from about 1,000 police shooting incidents in 1972. There's like less than 100 today. You'd have hoped that would have just dropped straight off, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's small mercies really.
I guess so, yeah.
There'd be fewer shooting incidents if there were fewer guns.
This is also undoubtedly true.
So that was 1972 in a nutshell. How exciting for that nutshell. We were talking about casting. Bob O'Brien.
Oh, yeah.
Casting Bob O'Brien.
Sounds like a film, that, doesn't it?
New on Netflix, casting Bob O'Brien.
Bob O'Brien. Fishes on the high seas. Could be a fishing
Casting,
documentary.
yeah, very good.
Cast Off. Cast Off
with
Bob O'Brien.
Luckiest
That can be the sequel.
Yeah. So there's a contribution there in the background from a cat called Sally, you may have just heard. And if not, I'll cut this out. Yeah, but the thing with Bob O'Brien, we know he's one of the second stringers in terms of the stories, don't we? I mean, he features in a fair amount of things, but he's never a lead player, really.
No, he gets his few moments in the spotlight, doesn't he? But
I always imagine him, if he was going to be in an 87th Precinct TV series, he'd be one of those characters who would probably be in every episode in some way. You'd see him. But he'd have some really good featured stories. And therefore, you'd need an actor that would really it'd be a joy to see when they get something. Or it doesn't feature in every episode, but so you can get a really interesting someone to come in and do a few special episodes of this thing.
Yeah.
I did, of course, ask for suggestions from the beautiful people of the internet and got 2. And I think this is possibly because he's not a main character. People won't have spent that time thinking, I know what he's like, I know what I'd like him to be like. But our friend Stella, who said she wasn't great at this game, but she came up with Chris Pratt, who, in terms of his build, and I know he's all sort of bulky now and sleek in his Marvel guise
in Jurassic World and what have you.
Yeah, I think he could have been a good call at one point. You know,
thinking of him in sort of like series 3 or 4 Parks and Rec kind of form,
but not playing it as comic. Obviously, playing it as he's sort of got that look about him.
How old is Bob O'Brien? Do we get told this at any point? Because I was imagining him older, but I might have just missed the bit where it told me he was younger.
I'm not sure. I didn't ponder too much on this because I think we've ascertained that
I think
no matter what you're going to get the age wrong.
He's either first grade or second grade, isn't he? I think he's reasonably.
I think he's second grade.
He must be reasonably.
I have to check my little list.
Senior.
But Bob O'Brien's described as being 6'1" and 210 pounds, which is 15 stone for those of us who use those formats. And he's obviously from Irish extraction.
Yeah.
And he's got big hands.
Yes.
And if it helps, he's got 20/20 vision.
Well, that's absolutely crucial, isn't it?
Yeah. From when you're casting, you need to. That was interesting when I was looking back for the first description of him. The fact that he had 20/20 vision was one of his, so he can see very clearly the people.
Powers.
The people he has to shoot.
Yeah.
He's a missing person specialist, so
That's
great
very useful
eyesight be good for finding them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we had a suggestion from our friend on Twitter who goes by the name of Track-E Sumisu, and that suggestion was for John Goodman.
Oh, right.
Who once upon a time I think would have fit that bill.
Yeah.
John Goodman's big rather than fat, I would say. I mean, he has been quite poor.
Yeah, I'm liking
sort
John
of
Goodman.
Big Lebowski era John Goodman, I think, would have been a
well, if you have a look
call.
at this picture I've got of him here, this is from a film called Burglar from 1987. And I've got an interesting fact about this. You'll like this, Steve-O. The film Burglar, in which he plays a police detective, stars Whoopi Goldberg as a character called Bernie Rodenbar.
Oh, right.
So it's based on a Lawrence Block story. Burglar in the Closet.
Oh, yeah,
terrific.
Of course, yeah.
So they planned to make it as with a white male in the lead, but it ended up being Whoopi Goldberg playing Bernie Rodenbar.
Oh, right.
Amazing.
Excellent.
So I have to dig that out. It'd be quite interesting to see.
Yeah, sounds fascinating.
Well, I've got a couple of suggestions, but I want to open it up to you guys, really, see if you thought of any.
I've got one.
One suggestion.
John Ashton. Now, you might not remember him, but the bloke from Beverly Hills Cop. The grumpy, older guy who's Judge Reinhold's pal. He's a bit old now, but
once upon a time, is the casting with all of these, really.
Yeah, quite often.
But there he is in
he's got a good face for it, I think.
Yeah, that's what I have in mind when Bob O'Brien crops up.
Oh, right.
Somebody who looks a bit like that.
Oh, interesting.
My one thought was John C. Reilly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, interesting.
I kind of imagine him a bit like that. I think John C. Reilly's probably of Irish extraction to some extent. He is 6'1". I checked. And yeah, I don't know.
John C. Reilly is 6'1". Don't know why that surprises me, but for some reason it does.
Well, there we go. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was my idea anyway.
Okay. Well, I had 3 ideas, and my first one is Brian Dennehy.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I've got to try and get my favourite picture of him here wearing what looks like a football manager's coat.
Yeah, that's from Rambo First Blood, that one.
Smashing.
He's almost exactly what I think of as Bob O'Brien, perhaps, you know. Oh, I also picture Bob O'Brien as being a bit sad permanently, because sort of like a natural tragedy haunts him. My sideways suggestion, I would say here, is cast a woman in the role, and whether you called it Roberta, I don't care, Roberta O'Brien, whatever, change the name, but I'd like someone, she's quite young, but if you've seen Fargo, you'll know Alison Tolman.
Oh, yeah.
And I think she could do a great turn as a sort of character cop that would have stuff in there. So that's my
Be interesting.
cast against the books type thing.
Mm-hmm.
She is great.
And you see you have the third.
I have my third. This is my ace in the hole. And that is someone from one of my favourite TV shows, because I'm a silly sausage, which is Gotham. And it's Donald Logue, who basically is probably going to crop up for about 4 or 5 cops I would suggest him for. Because he's just great.
He is really good.
Yeah, no, he looks...
That's why I put 2 pictures of him on my little pad here to show you, because I think he's great. An old one when he was playing sort of lighter comedy, and then one as
he's got
Harvey Bullock in GCPD.
Yeah, no, he looks good. He looks as though he could... Yeah.
And Gotham's finished now, so again, he'll be looking for
Yeah,
work.
he will, yeah.
That's a good call, actually, for our practical casting purposes.
Yeah.
Well, I would say in those, it's a toss-up between John Goodman and your last guy.
And Donald Logue.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Morgan?
Perhaps Morgan should have the deciding choice this time.
And I did like your sort of left field suggestion as well. I think that's cool. And I think doing that with a character like Bob O'Brien wouldn't upset the purists too much. I guess we're the purists. It didn't upset me too much, so that's good. But yeah, I think of those options like Donald Logue, I could go for that.
Yeah, I did toy with the idea that when we get round to casting Andy Parker, Donald Logue would be that. But I think he's too good for for that sort of role. I think that needs a very specialised sort of person, Andy Parker.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I think Donald Logue could make an impact as Bob O'Brien.
Yeah,
definitely. I think it's going to be a relatively small part, but I think he's going to do good things with it.
I think you can bump it up a little bit in the production of this mythical show. Excellent. Well, we solved that one then.
Fantastic.
Cool.
So
it's all fallen into place.
So we didn't get much of a listener response on deciding on who they think should have been Bob O'Brien. So I think we should go all out for a big name next time.
Right.
I think we should step into the world of villains, because the next book we're doing is Let's Hear It for the Deaf Man. Should we do it? Should we cast the Deaf Man? We've had 3 books so far.
I suppose because then yes, why not?
Definitely.
Why not?
Yeah,
so
we have to dive in there at some point, aren't we? So let's get it done.
Another thing was, obviously, Bob O'Brien's never featured in any adaptations, so I've got no precedent for that. There's been a few deaf mans, so we'll be able to have a look at the precedents for that. But I think this one could blow up.
Oh,
let's hope so. Anyway, there we go. I think we've covered everything, absolutely everything. And now I think we're going to say goodbye, and then we're going to play with Steve-O's cats for a little bit because they're very soft and very nice. So I'm going to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Fairly well.